What's going on, guys? BossOP6 here, back to your video, and today I have another CD collection update video for you guys. Now, these just came in the mail yesterday, and I did show off these albums when I live streamed the Ravens and the Chargers game last night. But I'm going to show off to you guys, for those who haven't seen them yet. And let's just say I got some of the best albums I've heard in my young metalhead life, I guess you could say. So, yeah, this one should be interesting, and another disclaimer here. I've only have three bands here, and two of them are for each band. So this one may be a bit of a shorter one, but I have reviewed these albums in the past to the retrospectives, and yeah, so I won't be going into this not knowing what I'm talking about, which is about my life about 50% of the time. So without further ado, let's get into these albums. Alrighty, the first one I have is from Candlemass, Ancient Dreams. This is the third studio album from the Swedish doom metal legends that came out in 1988, and the second album with Messiah McCollum on vocals after 1987's Nightfall that I did get a couple collection updates ago. This is an awesome album from top to bottom. Absolutely amazing. A great follow up to Nightfall. Although I will say I do like Nightfall a little bit more than this, but I will I will fully admit this does have some of the best Candlemass songs and their entire discography through and through. Like the opening Mirror Mirror, A Cry from the Crypt, Darkness of Paradise, the title track, Bells of Escharon. The one track that's a kind of a unique standout is the four-track Incarnation of Evil, where a little fun fact, it's an updated version of the song Black Messiah when the band was formerly known as Nemesis before they changed their name to Candlemass. They had an EP back in 1984, 1985 called The Day of Retribution, and that was when Leif Edling, their bassist, was actually the vocalist at the time, and sounds like very much like Ozzy in a way. And yeah, Incarnation of Evil, it's basically an updated version of Black Messiah. And while sometimes I do prefer the Black Messiah version over Incarnation of Evil, both are phenomenal songs in their own right. And even on the back, there's a little passage that says, Chase the horizon, catch the illusion, remember the child within. There's no tomorrow, just sadness and sorrow, hold on to the ancient dreams. And that's some lyrics from the title track. Absolutely great stuff. The only complaint I really have about this album, it's a bit long. It's a little bit long in the tooth for my liking per se, and there's like a couple tracks that don't do a whole lot for me. But from top to bottom, still an amazing album. And if you look a little closer to the album artwork, and you may think of yourself, this kind of looks like Nightfall. It basically is, but it's a lot more. There's a lot more going on here with like the mountains and like there's like even a kingdom in the clouds, which is really, really, really cool. But awesome album from top to bottom. Absolutely recommended. And then I have the follow up to that 1989's A Tales of Creation. So, yeah, the follow up to Night or Ancient Dreams. And this would unfortunately be the last album with Messiah on vocals. And I think I've stated before when I did my Candlemass retrospective, this is not only the weakest album of the 80s, in my personal opinion, this is the weakest of the Messiah era because I don't know, just there's some tracks that don't do it for me on this album, and the direction they went in didn't really I didn't gravitate towards. And I do think the production did get a little more raw on this one, and the guitar tone sounds like a little more sinister, even more so than on Ancient Dreams. But there's still some phenomenal songs in this album, like Dark Reflections, Tears, Into the Unfathomed Tower. Awesome, awesome instrumental, the best in their entire catalog. The Edge of Heaven, Somewhere Nowhere, Through the Infinitive Halls of Death, A Tale of Creation, that awesome ending track. The only thing that I didn't really care for is maybe a couple tracks in their re-recorded version of Under the Oak. I love that more. I love the original recording with Johan Landquist on vocals more than the Messiah version, but it's still solid in its own right. So yeah, awesome album. Really, really, really do like it. I just think I just think it could have been a little bit better in my personal opinion, but I still think this is still a phenomenal album. Absolutely recommended. Alrighty, next up I have Death, Individual Thought Patterns. This is the Fit Studio album that came out in 1993 from the godfathers of death metal themselves. And I've always stated on this channel, and I've talked to other people, this and Leprosy always go back and forth for my second favorite in Death's entire discography. I mean, I could literally like wake up one morning and say Leprosy is my favorite, and then the next day I'll say Individual Thought Patterns is my favorite. So it's literally a two-way race for it. But as of right now, it's probably my third favorite in their entire discography. This is just phenomenal stuff, and this is a reissue from Relapse Records. It's a two disc. The second disc was was live in Germany, and they covered everything from Leprosy, from Human, a couple tracks off this album, and Scream Bloody Gore, and also I think they also did Spiritual Healing on this one. This is where they almost upgraded, and this is where they went full on technical, like in the thing of like Atheist in a way, because unfortunately, both members of Cynic, Mr. Paul Masterfall, Mr. Sean Reihart, they would leave the band to go work on Cynic, and then enter Gene Hoglan on drums. Okay, I love the Atomic Clock. He's one of my favorite drummers of all time, and well, still Steve DiGiorgio was still on bass at this time. I wonder who we can get for another guitarist. Oh, I don't know. How about we get No Fame King Diamond guitarist Andy LaRock, and lo and behold, this thing's a freaking masterpiece. Amazing stuff. Overactive imagination, inhuman form, jealousy, trapped in a corner, mentally blind. The title track, one of my favorites. Destiny has that really nice somber acoustic intro, and then that riff kicks in. It's one of the most meanest riffs probably in Death's entire discography. And the classic philosopher, top notch, absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant stuff here. I can't recommend this highly enough. If you want to get into technical death metal, highly start with this. I will also recommend Atheist as well, but this is a huge, huge, huge recommendation. Then I also have The Sound of Perseverance that came out in 1998. The last album that Death ever released, and the second to last album that Chuck would actually be doing, because unfortunately Death would disband after this, and Chuck would form Control the Night and do Fragile Art of Existence a year later, and unfortunately would pass from brain cancer in 2001. And I've stated before, arguably the greatest final album of all time. Like, it's up there with Those Ones Slain by Bolt Thrower and Dead Again by Type O Negative. This is amazing. This is where they went more proggy in their way. Like, to say that this isn't death metal, that's kind of doing it a disservice. But this is more prog, like kind of in the vein of like Opeth at the time. And absolutely amazing stuff like Scavenger of Human Sorrow, Bite the Pain, Spirit Crusher, Flesh and the Power It Holds, Voice of the Soul, one of the saddest songs I've ever heard in my entire life, and it's the one of the best songs Death's ever done, and it's an instrumental, believe it or not. Moment of Clarity, their cover of Painkiller is absolutely amazing. I've always seen this at the bottom of people's list. I'd say it's their most underrated album, in my personal opinion. It's my fourth favorite behind Individual Thought Patterns, Leprosy, and Human. This is just amazing stuff, and Disc 2 actually has their demos. And another fun fact too, half these songs were actually supposed to be on the Control 9 album, but eventually would be on this. And yeah, as a final album, you can't get better than this, in my personal opinion. Absolutely amazing, amazing stuff. Highly recommend it. And finally, I have two albums from my favorite band of all time, Judas Priest, Screaming for Vengeance. This is the remaster from their album in 1982. Classic, classic album. Like, arguably the greatest album of the 80s. Like, it's up there because you look at everything that's happened in the 80s, and Priest were just thriving at this point because they came off of their highly commercial outing in British Steel. They did a little more hard rock in terms of like the style they went on Point of Entry, and they had the metallic mastery on this album. And Just top to bottom, absolutely amazing stuff. The Hellion into Electric Eye is an absolute classic, and they play it like every single time that they open up a show. And they did when I saw them back last year when they were with Queensryche, and that was very, very, very cool. Riding on the Wind, Bloodstone, crunchy riff there. Take These Chains, a very underrated like melodic song. It's almost like a ballad in a way. The title track's great. You've got Another Thing Coming, the smash hit off this album. Devil's Child, absolutely amazing stuff. Even the bonus track, Prisoner of Your Eyes, one of the best ballads the band has ever done. Like, it's 7 minutes long, but it's absolutely awesome. Like, it kind of gives like a Beyond the Realms of Death like feel in some ways. And I love this little thing on the back that says, "From an unknown land and through distant skies came a winged warrior. Nothing remained sacred. No one was safe from the Hellion as it uttered its battle cry, screaming for vengeance." Yeah, classic album. Absolutely recommend this. And then for the final one, I have their latest studio offering today, even though they are recording their next album, Invincible Shield, that's coming out in March. Firepower, that came out in 2018. Oh man, there was some bit of divisive stuff on this album, considering who was producing it. After coming off of Redeemer of Souls, which I think was a really damn good album, they went back, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, how are we going to follow up that? And instead of going the more traditional, like almost power metal style that they went on Redeemer of Souls, went for more straight ahead heavy metal, and there's nothing really wrong with that in a way. Absolutely amazing stuff. To get famed producer Tom Allum on this album after being gone for several years, and they get Andy Sneap. Say what you will about him in terms of production. I think he's a good producer, even though I do feel like his production is pretty samey at some points. This is an absolute barn burner. Like, this is one of the best in their entire career. And I even like the little saying on the back here. Formed by a conflagration of molten metal, Fury and Hellion Battalion. A, a warrior for justice and salvation. Ultimate god of firepower, Titanicus. And I'm willing to bet that's what this actually is on the album cover, but good God, or it's probably this. That's probably what they're referring to. This is absolutely amazing. Yeah, there's like 14 tracks on this album, but it doesn't waste your time at all. Like, the opening title track is full on speed metal. Lightning Strike, that kind of sounds like something off a Painkiller. Evil Never Dies is one of my favorites. Never the Heroes, Necromancer, Children of the Sun, Guardians into Rising from Ruins. Absolutely amazing stuff right here. Flamethrower, Spectre, Traitor's Gate, one of the best tracks off this album. Lone Wolf, phenomenal stuff. Even Sea of Red, I think, is really, really damn good. This is top 5 in their entire catalog, if you ask me personally. Absolutely recommended. And so, folks, that is it for all the albums I have. I didn't think this one was going to be as long as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I'm still getting albums, and the more albums, the more happiness, I guess. So, folks, what did you guys think about this? What was your favorite album of all these? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, tap that big subscribe button, and tap the bell so when I upload, you guys will be notified. Thank you so much for watching this video. Most importantly, join the herd. Talk to you guys next video. Peace out.